Hello, my wonderful Baltimore Choral Arts folks. I miss you dearly, and I wish we were rehearsing. I thought that since we aren't rehearsing today, this is May 1st here, since we aren't rehearsing today, I might just check in with you about Elijah, about Mendelssohn, and maybe just kind of talk generally, and maybe specifically about a few places, but generally about the piece in a way that we really don't have a lot of time to do in rehearsal, but I think is very beneficial. Now, I won't make this long, and this won't be a pre-concert lecture, but this piece is just so special, and I think it merits just having some time to talk. So, first of all, what to say about Mendelssohn? Mendelssohn was an innovator in the sense that he didn't innovate very much compared to his colleagues. I mean, he's kind of in the same camp as Brahms in that um, the way that Mendelssohn innovated and pushed the envelope was essentially by rediscovery. Many of you will know, and some of you will not know, that Mendelssohn had a real obsession with the music of Bach. And indeed, if it had not been for Mendelssohn, we probably would not have held Bach in such high regard as we do today. So in the 1820s, Mendelssohn lived sort of working in and around Leipzig and Berlin, essentially put together a reconstructed performance of the St. Matthew Passion in 1829, I think. A lot of important people were there. Of course, given what we know and seeing Mendelssohn's notes and the reviews and whatnot, correspondence, we can tell that this performance of the Matthew Passion is in no way, shape, or form sort of historically informed performance practice as we would hear it today. So the tempi were off significantly. There was no sense of double dotting. Little things like, and actually you can see this in Elijah. Little things like recitativos, where often there would be like if there are two notes at the end of a phrase that are the same, more often than not, there would be an appoggiatura to link the phrase, whether it's a downward phrase or a rising phrase, so that it's not bum bum bum, or it's bum bottom or yum bottom instead of bum bum bum. And so actually there's a great example of that in the choral recitativo, which we'll talk about soon. So page 13 of your score in the Peters edition, the brand new Peters edition, measure 67. Altos have this wonderful grand sort of last gasp, and there is no one, right? And in Bach's time, it would have been, and there is no one, right? Anyway, little fun things like that. This piece is a culmination of Mendelssohn's work in many regards. It was commissioned and premiered in 1846 in the Birmingham Triennial Festival and Town Hall, which some of you have been to. And you know, I think the idea that Mendelssohn drew so much inspiration and knowledge from Handel's oratorios, the oratorios from the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament that Handel created, this sort of the sentiment, the musical sentiment of Bach, it's so evident. And really, I guess I'm trying to say in a sophisticated way that this is melodrama. This is, think Covent Garden, you know, Messiah. It's called a sacred oratorio. Of course, it was premiered in a church in Christ Church Cathedral in Dublin, but the more often than not in Handel's lifetime, Messiah performances were given at Covent Garden, and this is the same thing. It's so dramatic, right? It's an opera, and so I think now that you have the notes, by and large, you have the notes, you have the rhythms, you have the dynamics, you have everything that you need. Now it's up to us to find the character and the drama and the inspiration, and to connect sections, to sort of weave the tapestry a little tighter to make sure that there are seamless transitions between sections and ideas and thoughts. The other big overarching thing is that there are varying degrees of forte. Forte is an idea. Forte is a style. It is not a decibel level in this kind of music. I think the same is true in Brahms, Schumann. This is a character. This is a feeling. It's not a pre-prescribed decibel level. So what I'm trying to say is that Elijah can be extremely loud because of all the dynamic markings that are marked above mezzo forte. So don't let it get loud. Let's just talk about somewhat tricky things now to sort of guide your self-study for the week. Of course, we always have to start strong. So page 7, number 1, help, Lord. Just make sure that you really have a grasp on that D minor chord. The bottom system, can you be as parched and as desperate as possible? The harvest now is over. Then swell, the summer day, and then diminuendo, days are gone. And then as much dryness as possible, secco, and yet no power cometh. Yeah, things like that, okay? This is an excellent movement. Just speak through the recitativo with me. This is not easy to do with 130 folks, right? Easy to do with soloists. However, we're going to make it as easy as possible by not messing with the tempo too much. You'll see, I think, that I will sort of guide us in the direction of long notes, but by and large, it is in tempo-ish. So let's just chant it, all 4 parts. So 1 and the deep affords no water, and the rivers are exhausted. 1 and the suckling's tongue now cleaveth for thirst to his boom. The infant children ask for boom. The infant children ask for bread forte. And there is no sforzando. And there is no one breaketh it to feed them. Lord, bow thine ear to our prayer. Exactly. Turn one more page to page 16. Page 16 is a little bit different. So take a look at that, yeah? The pattern changes. The Lord hear our prayer, bow thine ear to our prayer, pattern changes. Movement 5, which is page 23. Tritones, they are now your best friend. The devil's interval, right? Get really friendly with the devil. His curse hath fallen down upon. Yeah, do all of that stuff. Just remember that we don't have time for 2 consonants at yet doth. It's just 1. Yet doth the Lord see it not. Yet doth the Lord see it not. He mocketh at. Okay, that will be great. Just look at the intervals on page 24 and 25 of that movement. Okay, that some of the accidentals tend to trip us up occasionally. Pacing of Baal, the Baal sequence, so movement 11, 12, and 13. Let's just make it as fast-paced as possible without feeling rushed, and let's make sure that between movements and between recits and solos, that it's really strong when we come back in each time. Okay, good. Woe to him. This is the 3rd chorus of the 2nd part. So we've done this one, Be Not Afraid, and it went well, including the middle section, right? Then we heard it with our ears, we heard it with our ears, he shall perish, and then we get to number 24, he shall perish. Again, we have tritones, right? Oh, wait, I wanted to talk about He Shall Perish as well. Yeah, He Shall Perish, page 136. This is also kind of what I'm talking about with characterization and drama. Page 54, or measure 54, page 136. This is an Elgar chord. C sharp, G, B flat, F. Sopranos, he shall perish, that interval. I don't think it's huge and filled with vibrato and sort of Verdian color. I think it's right in your face, accusatory. So I think that to me says that it has to shoot right out into the audience, mostly sense of vibrato and just kind of unrelentingly piercing. So just think about different ways to color the voice to reflect the content of the text. And of course, that goes to syllabification and text stress as well, right? Which we'll talk about later. Woe to him, woe to him, woe to him. Just make sure that the pitches on page 141, 142, 143 are really excellent and that you know them really well. Movement 29 is one moment where I think I would allow a lot of connectedness and legato. There's not a lot of legato singing in this piece, right? But this one should always feel floaty. He watching over Israel slumbers, not Israel slumbers. No, it has to be sort of connected and floaty, yeah? No fortes in this movement. If there is, iron it down, right? Forte is a character, it's not a decibel level. So it's all about text too, right? For example, page 157, measure 19. Shouldst thou walking in grief languish? So the shorter notes have forward motion arrows beneath them going to grief. There's a sforzando to help us with grief. And then really emphasize languish. If you feel languish, you're going to say it slower, right? Languish. Think about those kinds of things, syllabification, text stress, and let those things inform the phrase, right? Because good composers write with the text in mind, which informs the form, yeah? And then movement 38, I would say, is something that you should take a look at. Get there, number 38. Just, by the way, if you'd like to listen to the recording in movement 35, since it's been a while, that would be great. But then 38. Then did Elijah the prophet break forth like a fire. Haydn. His words appeared, Haydn, like burning torches. Intervals, direction of phrase. Those are the important things in this movement, including the accidentals in page 192 and 193 and 194. Of course, we should really make sure that measure 34, page 194, is rhythmically integrous, right? Lord would take him away to heaven. 1 and 2, Lord, that came, okay? Good. I would just say spend a little time with this music. You know the spots that give you trouble, and we'll really hit the ground running. I think it's a really important idea that we don't let ourselves backslide in this off week. That it's, of course, almost never your responsibility to learn pitches outside of rehearsal necessarily, but it is all of our responsibility to make sure that we put the bolstering in the music where we need the flying buttresses in between rehearsals, so that we all come to the rehearsals with the same amount of retention each time. As I said last week, the 8th will be focused on part 2. The 16th will be a run through with notes, of course, and then off we go. So above all else, when you interact with this music over the week, enjoy it, have fun, be inspired. It certainly inspires me. I think it's an amazing work. And most importantly of all, be safe. And yeah, I will see you very soon. I very much look forward to it. Happy practicing. See ya.